This is a review of the Hisense H55M6600, kindly sent to me from AO.com, with up-to-the-minute tracking and excellent service from Connor. Here's the TV. It's got some of the usual apps: Netflix, Iplayer, Amazon, YouTube, Wacky, BBC News, BBC Sport, and some few other apps that are probably not used as much, but some people might use them. And we've also got a Plex app. Back to that in a second. Some basic games, kids, VOA. Let's have a quick look at the Plex app. I don't have an account, but it starts up fairly quickly. There's a quad-core processor in this TV. There we go, sign-in screen. Don't worry about the flickering. It's just a shutter issue with the camera. You don't see the flickering at all on the telly. So let's go have a look at the games now. Starts up fairly quickly. Let's have a look. There are some basic games here. Arcade, puzzle, cards, board. Nothing astounding in here, but might pass the time away. Personally, I'd probably never use this. So let's go back up and have a look, see what else is on here. Now, as you'll notice, there is no catch-up service for all four ITV or Channel 5. Those ones are missing. Okay, so the remote control, nothing outstanding, not a universal remote, but it does have shortcuts to Netflix, YouTube, Wacky, and text at the bottom. I wish they'd replace the Wacky one with Amazon. It would be much more useful, especially for me anyway. So let's go back in now and have a look at Iplayer. Loads fairly quickly. I've had some devices in the past that take ages to load Iplayer, but this one's pretty good. Let's have a quick look at some Playback. Let's look at Strictly. Yes, I think I'm over 16. Let's choose that. Or maybe I'm not. No, I am. You'll see it's quite reflective here as well. There's a lot of strong sunlight coming through an opposite window. In reality, the camera exaggerates it a bit. It's much better than it looks. There's some pixelation here, which is a bit unusual, but it hasn't fully got up to speed yet. So here's a picture of the back of the telly. 4 HDMIs. The two at the back facing rearwards are full fat 4K HDMI at 60. And the two at the side are only 4K at 30. You've got 3 USBs. One is USB 3. Full-size SCART cable. You've got satellite and Freeview connection and headphone connection as well. You've got a 4-way selection switch in case you can't find the remote. And you've also got a sideways facing power cable, which is a bit unusual, completely detachable, just a standard 2-pin, but it makes mounting on the wall easier because the power cable doesn't stick out. And then you've got these 2 rear facing lugs, which are very handy for maneuvering the TV. It's not an overly heavy TV, it's about 19 kilos. Let's have a look at some material now. So this is LG's chest demo, which is used quite a lot to show what screens are capable of. In reality, the picture's much better than this, even though it's very good to look at. The camera can't quite capture all the fine detail. Let's have a look at the different picture modes. So it's in HDR, so it will recognise HDR over USB. The dynamic blows out the detail far too much. HDR is very good, especially for syntones. The cinema, well, it's good, but it's very dim, and it's also doing some strange things to her fan behind her. Don't worry about the flicker. Standard is quite good as well, but the skin tone is very magenta. So HDR is definitely the best out of this. I'll flick through those again just to show you. Here you go. And then if we have a quick look at one other scene, the difference between dynamic and HDR, you'll be able to see this, a bit of this on camera, but it's much more obvious in real life. It's this shot here coming up, the close-up. So if I pause it about now and have a look at his cloak, in HDR you can see quite a lot of detail, But if I switch it to dynamic, you lose a lot of the detail in the highlights, even though it's brighter. Let's have a look at the menu system now. So you get audio only in the menu. You get 4 quick shortcuts, which are the last 4 things you've chosen. But if you want to get to the full menu, you just select all or use the right arrow. So I'm in standard picture mode at the moment, but obviously you can change it between cinema, game, dynamic and HDR, but HDR is only available with a valid HDR source. You've got the ability to apply your selected picture modes to just the source you're looking at the moment, or all sources: brightness, contrast, color saturation, aspect ratio. Backlight, well, backlight you could have dynamic, so it will change the backlight on a shot by shot basis, high, low or off, and you can also adjust the backlight independently, and you can do this for HDR as well. Some TVs don't let you do that. In advanced picture settings, you've got tint, sharpness, adaptive contrast, color temperature, overscan, ultra smooth motion, noise reduction, color tuner and white balance. Now let's have a look at the color tuner. Just back in there. Okay, now you can choose red, green, blue, yellow, cyan, magenta or even flesh tone. Very good for calibration this. I wouldn't use this without a calibration tool. Things can go very wrong. You've got a 2-point and a 10-point white balance adjustment, which is very handy, as we'll see in a second. So let's go and have a look at the calibration side of things. This is post calibration. This took me probably about half an hour to do. First using the 2-point control and then going back in and using the 10-point control, only in a couple of areas. I think it was 70 and 80%. But this is a very good performance. Everything is 1.1 and below. Let's have a look at the color side of things. Almost as good here. 2 or below everything. Not quite as easy to get right, but pretty good. So a very good calibration performance here. Okay, let's go and have a look at the sound modes. Lots of different sound settings here. Theatre, music, speech, late night. You can twiddle this to your heart's content, really. You can apply the sound mode individually again. You've got different options with headphones and digital audio out. You've got digital audio out. You can send PCM or RAW. You've got individual audio delay for the audio out too. You've got an equalizer which you can adjust the EQ. Nice to have. You've also got the visually impaired option, which you can send out separately over headphones, which is quite handy. And you can turn the TV speaker off completely if you want to. Now, I don't have a aerial or a satellite installed on this device, so we're just going to skip over the channel thing for the moment. Network connection, yep, you can set it up wireless easily. You can stream to it, only with an Android device though. You can change the TV's name. In system settings, you can go into HDMI, CEC and turn on CEC control. There's a lot of options here. In advanced settings, you can adjust the menu timeout, sleep, adjust your PVR and time shift, because you can attach a USB drive and use this as a recorder. You can turn off the power and the indicator lights on the front, because they can be quite annoying in a dark room. You can also change your input labels on each source. And I don't know what HBB TV is. And in about, you can go in and do a system update, check for your firmware updates. Let's have a look. No, nothing there. That's it really. So what do I think? Well, this is a pretty good television, capable of displaying a very good 4K image with pretty good HD scaling as well, although it does exhibit some judder with 24 frame per second sources, and there is a small amount of panel clouding as well. It's not perfect, but then again, no TV is.